こんばんは。フォーレックス TV ニューヨークのレミです。4月28日月曜日の為替レポートニューヨークレビューをお伝えします。28日のアメリカ株式相場は小動きで取引を終えた。ダウ工業株30週平均は小幅反落し、前週末に20ドル11セント安の 12,871 ドル75セントで終えた。ナスダック総合株価指数は 1.47 ポイント高の 2424.40 で終えた。米連邦公開市場委員会 FOMC を控えて、前週後半の株高を受けた利益確定売りが少々出ました。ニューヨーク外国為替市場で円相場は反発しました。ドル円は前週末30銭円高ドル安の104円10銭から20銭で取引を終えた。株価を手がかりに円買いドル売りがやや優勢となりました。また円は対ユーロで続伸しました。ユーロ円は前週末40銭円高ユーロ安の162円80銭から90銭で取引を終えた。それではドイツバンクのアダム・ボイトンさんとのインタビューをご覧ください。
Well, we're starting out the week on a quiet note, but we do have a lot of economic data as well as the Fed rate decision coming out on April 30th. So in terms of the major currency pairs, let's start out with a look at euro dollar. Last week, after the pair hit a new record above the 160 level, we saw the pair pull back and the pair did end lower for the week. But it's been fairly quiet today with a bit of consolidation in the majors. But given that we do have the FOMC as well as Q1 US advanced GDP and NFP, what do you expect to see this week in the pair?
Look, there's a lot of event risk this week. As you point out, we've got the FOMC decision on Wednesday, GDP on Wednesday, non-farm payrolls on Friday. But I think when you take a step back and look at some of the fundamentals that have been driving euro-dollar, those fundamentals, to my mind, continue to suggest that the euro is going to appreciate, and I think we'll get back through the 160 barrier. Not necessarily before the end of this week, but certainly over the coming months. I think we'll see a continuation of euro strength. As far as this week's concerned, we're looking for the Fed to cut 25. We're looking for them to continue to emphasise the downside risk to growth as being the most predominant concern. On the GDP front, we think we'll get something around 0.5 for GDP, so in line with the market. And then for non-farm payrolls, expecting something like down 100,000, so a fairly weak payrolls print. Then when you look at some of the factors that have been driving euro-dollar, interest rate differentials have been quite important recently, and that's a combination of events, to my mind, that should maybe see a bit more of a rally in US interest rates markets, and that'll help euro-dollar move higher.
Okay, well, Adam, you mentioned interest rate differentials, so before we move on to any of the other major pairs, we've been hearing a lot out from ECB officials, so how much weight are you placing on the commentary we're hearing from the ECB right now?
I think what the ECB is trying to do is remind people that inflation is their primary focus, and trying to get the markets away from pricing rate cuts in Europe. I think the ECB has a different mandate to the Fed, a focus on headline inflation, really is its only needle, as Mr. Trichet says, whereas the Fed has that dual mandate. So I think a lot of what the ECB is doing is reminding people that as far as the policy outlook in Europe's concerned, it's either on hold or the risk, and really only a risk, or the risk of higher rates, and certainly easing doesn't appear to be on the ECB's agenda for the near term. As a house, we think they will eventually ease. There is some softness starting to come through in the European data, and you've got a divergence opening up between the stronger performing Germany and weaker performing Southern Europe. Those factors suggest to us the European economy overall will slow sufficiently to get the ECB cutting by the end of the year. But for now, that's certainly not the message the ECB is sending, and that hawkishness out of the ECB should continue to support the euro higher as well.
Okay, Adam, well, while we're focusing on the economies across the Atlantic, let's take a look at the UK currency of the pound. We've been seeing interesting price action in the pound against both the US currency as well as the euro recently. And last week when we got the BOE MPC minutes, that came as quite a surprise to the markets with the three-way split for that rate cut. But going forward, do you expect to see more downside for the UK pound? And if so, what ranges do you expect to see this week against the sterling against both the euro and the dollar?
Look, I think overall the pound is one currency in the G10 that I'd be the most bearish on. You've got a combination of a weaker housing market plus also a fair tightening in financial conditions. It started with a reasonable overvaluation. Now some of that overvaluation, particularly against the US dollar, has been corrected, but the pound still is overvalued. And you've got the Bank of England easing, and I think they'll continue to ease further. So in terms of targets, our year-end target would be something like 185 for sterling. That's against the dollar. Euro sterling's had a very good run up over the past few months, and really I think we probably need to see the euro re-strengthen and head back above 160 before we can think about further moves high in euro sterling. As we get through toward the end of the year, I think probably the focus will shift from playing sterling weakness against the euro to maybe playing sterling weakness against the dollar if we get some stabilization in the dollar.
以上ドイツバンクのアダム・ボイトンさんとのインタビューでした。 ForexTV ニューヨークのレミがお伝えしました。最新の為替情報については ForexTV ジャパンをご覧ください。